In the twilight of its existence, the Byzantine Empire was a flickering candle against the wind of change. Its dominion, once stretching across continents, had shriveled to the city of Constantinople and a few scattered territories. The city itself, a treasure chest of history, was home to a dwindling population within its legendary walls. The once bustling forums and markets echoed with the ghosts of a more prosperous era. Emperor Constantinople, Palaiologos, a man of noble spirit, shouldered the immense weight of this fading legacy. He was a ruler burdened by the premonition of an impending storm. Across the Bosphorus, a new power was rising with formidable ambition. The Ottoman Empire, young and vigorous, saw Constantinople not as a relic, but as the ultimate prize. At its helm was Sultan Mehmed II, a ruler of prodigious intellect and unyielding will. Only 21 years old, his obsession with conquering the city was absolute. Mehmed began his preparations with strategic brilliance, aiming to isolate his target completely. He commissioned the construction of the Rumeli Hizara, a fortress on the European side of the Bosphorus. This stronghold would choke off any potential aid arriving from the Black Sea. The Sultan's gaze then turned to a new and terrifying form of warfare: gunpowder artillery. He sought out a gifted but disgruntled Hungarian engineer named Urban. Urban, having been rebuffed by the financially strapped Byzantines, found a willing patron in Mehmed. The engineer promised a cannon of unprecedented size and power. This monstrous creation, later known as the Basilica, was a testament to Ottoman ambition. It measured nearly 27 feet in length and could fire a 1,200-pound stone ball over a mile. Transporting this behemoth and its smaller siblings to the city walls was a monumental logistical challenge. An army of tens of thousands, including the elite Janissary Corps, was assembled for the siege. The Janissaries were the Sultan's finest troops, fiercely loyal and trained for war from childhood. Within Constantinople, the mood was a mixture of defiance and dread. Constantinople rallied his small force, a mere 7,000 soldiers against a sea of foes. Among them was Giovanni Giustiniani Longo, a Genoese soldier of fortune with invaluable expertise in sea defense. The city's primary defense was its legendary Theodosian walls, a triple line of fortifications that had never been breached. These walls had protected the city for over 1,000 years, a silent testament to its former strength. To secure the harbor of the Golden Horn, a massive iron chain was stretched across its mouth. This chain was designed to prevent the powerful Ottoman fleet from attacking the city's weaker sea walls. Appeals for aid were sent to the Christian kingdoms of Europe, but help was slow to come. Religious divisions and political rivalries left Constantinople largely isolated in its hour of need. On April 6, 1453, the siege began. The ground shook as Urban's great cannon fired its first stone against the city's ancient ramparts. The sound was deafening, a thunderous roar that struck terror into the hearts of the defenders. Day after day, the relentless bombardment continued, targeting the weakest sections of the land walls. Each night, the citizens and soldiers worked tirelessly under Giustiniani's direction to repair the breaches. They used barrels of earth, stones and timber to plug the gaps created by the Ottoman cannons. The defenders' resilience in the face of overwhelming firepower was extraordinary. Meanwhile, the Ottoman fleet attempted to force its way into the Golden Horn. The Byzantine and Genoese ships, though outnumbered, fought with skill and courage. Frustrated by the naval stalemate, Mehmed conceived a plan of audacious genius. He ordered his ships to be dragged overland, bypassing the chain entirely. A massive roadway of greased logs was constructed on the hills behind the Genoese colony of Pera. Under the cover of darkness, dozens of Ottoman vessels were pulled by oxen and men over the hill. The defenders awoke to the sight of the enemy fleet now floating in their supposedly secure harbor. This maneuver was a devastating blow to the morale of the besieged city. Constantinople was now completely surrounded, its lifeline severed. Weeks turned into a month, and then another. Food supplies within the city dwindled, and starvation became a real threat. The constant bombardment and skirmishes wore down the exhausted garrison. Ominous portents seemed to foretell the city's doom. A thick, unseasonable fog blanketed the city for days, interpreted as a sign of God's displeasure. Mehmed, sensing the defenders' weakening resolve, offered a final chance to surrender. He promised to spare the lives of the citizens in exchange for the city. Constantine refused, declaring he would live or die with his empire. The final grand assault was planned for May 29th. The night before, a solemn procession was held within the city. Orthodox and Catholic defenders, setting aside their differences, prayed together in the Hagia Sophia. It was a moment of profound unity in the face of annihilation. Before dawn, the attack began with a deafening roar of cannons, drums, and trumpets. The first wave, composed of irregular troops, was thrown against the walls to exhaust the defenders. They were repelled with heavy losses. The second wave, consisting of disciplined Anatolian troops, pressed the attack with greater ferocity. The fighting on the ramparts was brutal and desperate. Just as their attack began to falter, a cannonball struck down the brave Giustiniani. Mortally wounded, his evacuation from the walls caused a panic among the defenders. The defenders' morale, already fragile, began to crumble. Sensing the moment, Mehmed unleashed his ultimate weapon, the Janissaries. They advanced not with a wild cry, but in disciplined, terrifying silence. They focused their attack on a section of the wall where a small, unlocked gate, the Carcaporta, had been discovered. A small group of Janissaries poured through this opening, raising the Ottoman standard on the wall. The sight of the enemy flag flying within the city shattered the last vestiges of resistance. The Ottoman forces now streamed into the city through multiple breaches. Emperor Constantino Vest, casting aside his royal insignia, plunged into the thick of the fighting. He was killed in the final, desperate struggle for his city, a true emperor to the very end. His death marked the definitive end of the Roman Empire. The great city, the queen of cities, had fallen. For 3 days, the city was given over to the victorious army. Thousands sought refuge in the Hagia Sophia, believing its sacred walls would protect them. The great doors were broken down, and the sanctuary became a scene of despair. Sultan Mehmed II made his triumphal entry into the city he had so long desired. He rode directly to the Hagia Sophia, the jewel of Christendom. Struck by its beauty, he ordered the great church to be converted into a mosque. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across Europe. It was seen as a catastrophic blow to Christendom. The event marked a turning point in military history, proving the supremacy of gunpowder artillery. It also spurred the Renaissance, as Greek scholars fled westward with precious ancient manuscripts. The city, renamed Istanbul, became the vibrant new capital of the powerful Ottoman Empire. The siege was a story of technological innovation and strategic genius. It was also a tale of incredible bravery against impossible odds. The echoes of its fall resonated through the centuries, marking the end of one age and the beginning of another. The Great Walls, though breached, still stand today as a silent witness to the epic struggle. The ambition of the young sultan had been fulfilled. He would forever be known as Mehmed, the Conqueror. The Byzantine dream of a universal Christian empire was extinguished forever. The Ottoman crescent had risen over the Golden Horn. The city's strategic location would ensure its importance for centuries to come. The siege highlighted the growing power of centralized, gunpowder-wielding states. It demonstrated the vulnerability of even the most formidable medieval fortifications. The loss of Constantinople was a profound psychological blow to European identity. It fueled a new wave of crusading rhetoric, though little action followed. The trade routes to the east were now firmly under Ottoman control. This disruption would encourage European explorers to seek new sea routes to Asia. The story of the siege became a legend, told and retold by both victors and vanquished. For the Greeks, it became a symbol of national martyrdom and a hope for future restoration. For the Turks, it was the fulfillment of a prophetic destiny and a foundational moment for their empire. The final hours of the empire were marked by acts of incredible personal courage. Women and children participated in the defense, carrying stones and water to the walls. The unity displayed in the final Mass at the Hagia Sophia was a poignant farewell. Mehmed's engineers had also attempted to mine beneath the walls. These attempts were thwarted by Byzantine countermining efforts, led by engineer Johannes Grant. The struggle for the city was fought both above and below ground. The use of Greek fire, the Byzantine secret weapon, was less effective than in past sieges. The sheer scale of the Ottoman navy and army overwhelmed the defenders' resources. The psychological impact of the Great Cannon cannot be overstated. It represented a force beyond the defenders' comprehension or ability to counter effectively. The city's fall was not just a military defeat, but the end of a civilization. It was the final, dramatic act in the long history of the Roman Empire. The world was irrevocably changed by the events of May 29, 1453. The balance of power had shifted decisively from west to east. The great city had been a shield for Europe for a millennium. That shield was now broken. The conquest secured Mehmed's authority and legacy within the Ottoman Empire. He immediately began repopulating and rebuilding his new capital. He encouraged people from all over his empire to settle in Istanbul. The city would once again become a cosmopolitan center of trade and culture. The memory of Constantinople became a legend for the Greek people. He was remembered as the marble emperor who would one day return. The fall of the city was a stark lesson in the power of new technology. It also demonstrated the dangers of political disunity in the face of a determined foe. The name Constantinople would fade into history, replaced by Istanbul. But the legacy of the empire it once ruled continues to influence the world. Its art, its religion, and its history are woven into the fabric of Western civilization. The siege remains one of the most dramatic and consequential events in history. It was a clash of two worlds, two faiths, and two ambitions. In the end, the relentless will of one man and his powerful army prevailed. The ancient capital, the Second Rome, had breathed its last.